Hi, Bart with the Bicycle Rider, and here on the Bicycle Rider we review cycling products that give you a lot of value for the dollar. And what I have here is a PowerPod, and I did a video on this before, and a lot of viewers said that they couldn't really see the PowerPod, and it's really hard to see this because it is so small, but it is invaluable as far as if you're trying to track your performance metrics and power. I think most people will know that the power is a steady metric it's very important to track, just like your heart rate, your cadence. Power is right up there with the important thing to track. And a lot of people don't track their power because power meters are very expensive. Some of them come down in price, but a lot of them work off of a strain gauge either on your cranks or in your hub. And generally you're looking at least $400 or $500 for a power meter that's attached to your bike. And when I say it's attached to your bike, it's usually part of your crank arm or built into your hub. And if you have several different bikes, you need several different power meters. Well, PowerPod is one small device that you can switch to up to 4 bikes. So actually I use PowerPod on my road bike, I use it on my gravel bike, I use it on my mountain bike, and I use it on my aero bike, all with one power meter. I have to have different sensors on each bike, but I usually have the different sensors for my Garmin anyway. So people always ask me how PowerPod works, and I say, well, it works very good, but if you're asking me the science behind PowerPod, those are probably for the engineers who developed this. And Tom Gore and another gentleman are very easy to talk to. They speak in clear English. I think they're based out of Florida. So when you call PowerPod, or Velocomp is the mother company, you actually talk to the engineers who know exactly how this works, and they are glad to spend some time and let you know how it reads data off your cadence, and it reads your speed, and it reads the air through this little hole right here, and makes all this data work to tell you what your power is. And I read my power right off my Garmin. So this is the version 3, the newer version, and I've been using PowerPod for several years now. So I've gone through version 2 and now version 3. And version 3, they say, even is a little bit better as far as being able to, the sensors inside it, how it transforms all that data. But I look at power on the fly on my Garmin. So I think it can work with a Garmin, it can work with a Wahoo, it can work with just about any head unit. And I say that with a grain of salt because I only have a Garmin. But those are some of the questions that the guys at Velocomp would be happy to answer for you. And the PowerPod does have its own mobile phone app. So this is Bluetooth, and it could tell you your power right on your phone. I just use it on my Garmin. But power, is a very important metric to track, and it really does help me with my cycling. And I know I've recommended it to a few friends. A lot of these are guys that race and really need to track their performance. But I've also recommended it to some people that are just getting into cycling and want to maybe cycle a little bit better and aren't so worried about the competitive edge. They just want to see how their pedal stroke is doing, how their power output is, and that all helps them track, just their personal fitness. So even though I read this off my Garmin while I'm riding my bike, the beauty of this is there's a software. When I get home, I can just plug the mini USB in, and I look at a software on my computer, and it is fantastic. It tells you, it puts it in a bar graph, and it tells you your heart rate, your speed, your power, and it tells you along the whole track of your ride, how your power is either gaining or falling. I mean, it has so much data. It is incredible. And it also tells me, I've got a module on here called Power Stroke, and that lets me know how efficient my pedaling is. And it actually shows both crank arms going, and it shows you maybe your flat spots in your pedaling and your round spots and how to improve. It also gives you a gauge on your handlebars, and it lets you know how much wasted energy you're doing. And I can't believe how much wasted energy I have. And it even computes that into, if you didn't waste so much energy, how much farther or how much faster you would have gone. And it's really neat the way all this data is crunched And that software doesn't cost you. It's when you buy the PowerPod, you download the software, and it all comes in a package. I think the power stroke portion costs maybe a little bit more, and it's not a monthly fee, it's a one-time fee. And you know, I think it was an extra 40 or 50 bucks, and I mean, I really use that, and it's for the lifetime of your PowerPod. So one fee does it all. It's a great company to deal with. And I was making this video because people just didn't, when I made the video earlier this year, people did not, they kept wondering where the heck the PowerPod was. So let me just grab a test bike here. And I don't have a mount on this bike, but basically it's got a GoPro mount. So I have one here that's actually a 5mm headset spacer with a GoPro mount that I'm developing here. And that would just go where your headset spacer is, and it would just hang down about here. I also have a GoPro mount underneath my Garmin. So I've got my Garmin mounted here, and then my PowerPod mounts about right here. You just don't want to have it behind your cables because it needs to read, you know, it needs to read the wind. So basically, you know, when you buy it, it comes with a handlebar mount, and a lot of people have it mounted maybe over to the side. On my aero bike, I've got it attached to some screws underneath my aero bars. So when I say it's not the easiest thing to film, I'm you know, even here in the studio, Gary's got a really nice camera, and you're probably just not seeing where it is. So I could see in my first video where people are like, well, I hear you talking about PowerPod, but where the heck is it? Well, that's why, because it's a great product. It's just hard to put on camera. So there's the PowerPod in a nutshell. I think it's a great product. I've been using it for years. It's about $300, and like I said, you can move it from bike to bike, and that's exactly what I do. I use it on 4 different bikes, and you know, if I would have had to buy a power meter for all 4 bikes, one I probably wouldn't, so I'd be riding without power data on at least 3 of my bikes. But you know, one product that you can move from bike to bike, and they've made it very easy. And there's some videos on how to set it up on different bikes, and I think Gary and I are going to do that ourselves too. So we're going to, some of these guys are engineers, and you know, it's nice when you get an end user making a video rather than the engineer making the video, because everything comes so easy to them, and sometimes it's harder when you have to read instructions. So we're gonna go through the PowerPod step by step on how to put it on different bikes, how to use the software. You know, show you some screens on the computer of what it looks like. But I just wanted to, while we had it in the studio, kind of show you a good view of what it is. It's very small, very light, and works really good. PowerPod, if you want power on a budget, basically, but don't want to sacrifice quality, definitely look into this product, and you know, call the guys up at Velocomp. They're easy to talk to. Thank you.